All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. Um, just to let everyone know, I'm a bit under the weather, have been for the past 2 or 3 days. So we'll see how this goes. I may have to do some editing, which typically I don't do with a video. I want to talk about the music industry's war on Ted Nugent, and it's a twofold war. Number one, it basically says that Ted Nugent isn't really all that talented. Yeah, he plays guitar and he's a fairly good guitar player, but overall, he's not in the upper echelon of guitarists, which I think is ridiculous. I heard Ted play the national anthem last year. And other than Hendrix, I don't know anybody who did it with more style and more originality and with so many twists and turns. It really gave me chills listening to it. The problem is today, maybe people aren't really that enthusiastic about hearing the national anthem played on electric guitar, which is also a rather sad commentary. There's a lot of commentary that unfortunately gets into areas that have nothing to do with music. Now, me being a little under the weather the last couple of days, it reminds me of what happened to Ted Nugent last week when he told the world that he had the dreaded virus. And everybody, pretty much everybody in the media, seemed to be gleeful in their condemnation of Ted Nugent, saying, "Yeah, we told you so. Now, what do you think about this?" And Nugent, to his credit, at least was honest and told everybody what was going on. But certainly, he wasn't going to get any sympathy from people like Sebastian Bach or Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley, or pick your rock and roll celebrity from the past who they're all touting. Dee Snider is another guy who's running around talking about how he's so happy to get a passport to do normal things that you would be doing normally. But without this particular item, you can't do the things that you want to do, which to me sounds ridiculous, but what do I know, right? So, going on about Ted, it almost seemed as though people were really happy. And this is the two pronged approach to Ted Nugent. Obviously, his music has been focus tested pretty much off of all radio stations. Every so often, on a good FM oriented classic rock station, you might hear Stranglehold, if they can fit it in, because it is a fairly long track. But there's so much other music that Ted recorded, obviously going back to the days of the Amboy Dukes, where he, I don't want to say reinvented guitar, but he certainly brought new shades and new interpretations to the instrument. Now, I get it. Nuge has said some rather derogatory and unkind things to people like David Crosby and those who imbibed, I don't know if that's the right word, but got involved with some of the counterculture and took a lot of illicit substances. Nugent, throughout his career, has been clean and sober, and he loves to hold that over the heads of those who weren't or aren't even today. Um, does Nugent have a right to say those things? I think so. But it doesn't go over well in the world of rock and roll, even though, you hear of people succumbing to illness that's somehow related to their lifestyle choices. And as human beings, maybe we should learn from our ways, or at least advocate to others, hey, maybe this isn't the best lifestyle. You know, maybe this is a little too decadent. We tell those war stories and we kind of smile about it, and we're all like, hey, remember back in the day when we could do X, Y, and Z, and we'd wake up, you know, face down in a pool of, you know, our own bleep. I mean, I'm just censoring here because it is kind of gross. Um, and Ted Nugent, you know, he's kind of like the opposite end of the coin. So he's kind of a clean and sober guy. His politics don't line up with the prevailing rock and roll narrative, and hence he'll never get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He'll always be overlooked. And there's almost this happiness when, you know, maybe something goes wrong for Ted, like last week. And it was just weird reading people's reactions like, good, I'm just happy that this happened. And you're thinking to yourself, no, I don't typically say that to people I don't like or don't agree with on certain issues. So it's kind of like a three-prong attack on a guy who really isn't a bad person. I see him hanging out with Sammy Hagar and some other folks who can, you know, tolerate talking to Ted. Ted won't talk to just anybody, so I understand that. If he is going to pal around with somebody, it's going to be somebody who tolerates his views and so forth. And that's what life used to be like. But obviously, we are hurtling in a different direction at super warp speed. Bottom line is Ted Nugent not only isn't really on the radio, he's not on anybody's radar when it comes to recognition or the Hall of Fame or anybody who believes a certain way about life. He is made fun of, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I think you really overlook someone's talent if you're so focused on just one aspect of who they are. But if that gets in your way and you can't enjoy the music, I understand that. There are people that can't listen to Roger Waters because of that. I think Roger Waters is a brilliant artist, and I think you have to kind of overlook some of that or understand that that's part of who he is. Nugent typically doesn't sing about the stuff that he preaches, although more recently he's been injecting a few lyrics into songs that he's done that are certainly not neutral the way they used to be. Those of us who grew up with Ted Nugent certainly appreciate his work in the Damn Yankees as well, as that was a super group that had two super albums, and certainly you know, the mainstream rock community today doesn't play anything by the Damn Yankees. And I don't know if it's because of Nugent, no idea. Obviously, it was borderline hair metal or hair rock or something like that. I don't even know what you could describe it as. For some people, Ted Nugent is just too controversial and too detached from their worldview. And he's cartoonish, and a lot of people just can't take him seriously, even though if you'll listen to Ted, he really believes what he believes. This is a guy who has convictions, and he's held them for years and years. So in life, you know, everything is kind of relative. If you can appreciate his work as a musician and look past some of those things that you don't like, I think you can still understand how great of a guitar player Ted Nugent is, and how you know, his influence certainly has affected a lot of other players over the years. So that's my video. I got through it with the help of the editing button. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to be cranking out a lot of content this week. It's just really tough for me to talk, but I am hoping that things improve over the next couple of days, and we'll see how that goes.